Et salut les petits loups, j'espère que vous allez bien, moi ça va très bien. Donc aujourd'hui on se retrouve sur la suite de Vampire. Donc j'espère que l'épisode précédent vous a plu parce que c'était épique ce qui s'est passé. J'attends quelqu'un en fait appeler à l'aide mais je sais pas où il est. J'arrive mec. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Permets, je prends juste le coffre qui est derrière. Merci. Maintenant je vais te bouffer.
Help me get out of here. I need to get out.
I'm Dr. Reid, and I'd be glad to help you, but you must calm down first. Please, take a deep breath and tell me your name.
Okay. I'm Oswald Thatcher. Please, I need to get out.
All right, Mr. Thatcher, you're safe now. Do you think you can reach the street by yourself?
Yes, I do.
Good. Now leave this place and enjoy the cool night air. It's quite invigorating. I'm sure you'll feel better if you do.
Newton, don't be sorry. We'll meet again soon, and we will be serene and beautiful.
Merci mon pote. Putain, je tremble encore avec le boss les gars. Oh le loup-garou gros. Je veux plus en croiser. Ils sont vénères. Oh c'était chaud hein. Je pense à normal ça doit être plus facile. J'ai eu l'impression de battre un boss de Dark Souls. Parce que pour récupérer de la vie en combat c'est très chaud hein. Faut le taper au moins 5 fois avec le pieu et esquiver au bon moment, c'est insane. Le pire c'est qu'avec le boss, le combat aurait pu durer vachement très longtemps si j'aurais pas esquivé à chaque fois qu'il voulait récupérer sa vie en me mordant. La vache. J'adore ces difficultés difficiles, franchement c'est nice. Je suis où là? Excuse-moi, mais toi t'as rien à faire ici, toi. C'est bon, j'ai récupéré ma vie. Ah gros, j'arrive plus à parler tellement je suis stressé. Inconnu. Putain, mais il est toujours là, lui, l'inconnu, là, qu'est-ce qu'il veut, lui?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid of the Pembroke Hospital. May I be of assistance?
Dr. Reid. So it's you who saved my friend Oswald. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
And you are?
Newton Blight.
Ah!
Oswald and I recently returned from
Ah
the
bah
war.
désolé, je crois que j'ai tué ton ami en fait. Bah ouais, je crois que j'ai buté ton pote. Je suis désolé. Ça arrive à tout le monde.
How do you feel about Oswald Thatcher? You are more than friends, aren't you?
Enfin, je crois que c'est lui, c'est son pote que j'ai tué.
I love Oswald. We knew we wouldn't survive the war without each other. But I am terrified, Doctor.
What frightens you so much?
What if people find out? Oswald says I'm ashamed, but it ain't that. It's more, well, you know, I never thought I'd love a man.
Enjoy your love. And enjoy life as long as you can, Mr. Blight. Don't let anyone tell you who you should love or how you should love them.
I appreciate your kind words, sir. But it ain't that easy. It's all so new to me.
You and Oswald were buried alive during the war. Tell me about it.
Yeah. It was last summer. A shell hit our trench and we were buried for a week.
How did you survive for a week?
Luckily for us, there were rations and water in the tunnel. It was an outpost, see? Since then, Oswald's not keen on being inside for too long.
Oswald seemed far more traumatized than you by the event.
It wasn't the first time it happened to me. And surviving it again gave me strength. You believe that?
You are always welcome at the Pembroke Hospital. As a former officer, I'll be honored to welcome a fellow veteran.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs to reach that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because you've been through it, you can talk him round.
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital. And me, I've got my own issues.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run. It's that fear that stopped me from going after Oswald when he left.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? If you want to speak about it, of course.
War was... well, you know, sir. The stench of death everywhere. Your mates lying bleeding in the mud. Just praying to make it through and get home. Bloody nightmare.
What caused your phobia of rats, Newton?
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And there were rats.
Go on.
It started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears, my fingers, lips. I couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald. He found me and saved me.
Je me demande comment on peut monter le niveau en fait.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take
Pour
care.
bouffer les gens en fait. Parce que je suis toujours au niveau 1 et les autres j'envoie des 5, des 3, des 4. Se reposer pour évoluer, ouais je veux bien gros mais... après ce que j'ai vécu, ouais je veux bien gros. Je suis pas bien gros. Je crois que je vais aller me reposer pour monter un niveau parce que là je crois que j'ai plus de 2000 points à mettre donc... Attends, la connasse de service. Non, pas elle, pas lui. Non, elle dit ça c'est elle. La femme qui est partie en bateau là. Bah elle est plus là. Bon on va aller évoluer. J'arrive plus à parler. Ah sa race. Est-ce que je peux mettre ça au niveau 2 gros? Comment je fais pour évoluer ça? Oh, c'est kiffant ça. Voilà, je suis au niveau 10 maintenant, nickel. Et merde, je me trompe toujours. Oh, excuse-moi, je t'ai tué. En fait, j'ai ma quête secondaire en fait qui s'est désactivée, gros. Je dis ça, je dis rien. Suivre. Merde, j'en ai fait. Ouais, c'était une... Ok. Après, j'ai une autre quête secondaire aussi que j'ai trouvée, mais pour y aller, ça va être chiant. Enfin, maintenant j'ai le niveau, donc c'est parfait. Déjà, on va faire la deuxième. On va essayer de faire dans l'autre quand même. En fait, faut savoir, plus je tue des gens, plus le niveau de la ville ou du village, quoi, enfin du quartier, baisse. Et plus il y aura de monstres en fait. Donc plus je la joue bâtard, plus il y aura de morts, de monstres. C'est tout ce que tu fais. Niveau 18. En fait, j'ai pas regardé mon personnage comme j'ai débloqué des trucs. Ah mais ça y est automatiquement en fait. Ultime, j'ai pas d'ultime. Bon, la griffe, je l'utilise pas souvent, mais je l'utilise quand même. On va mettre ça là. Merde, faut que j'attende. Oh. Ok, mon truc c'était juste en face. Pourquoi il y a des traces de sang un peu de partout? Ah mais c'est une safe zone, ok d'accord. Ok, j'ai trouvé une safe zone, c'est parfait. Faut vraiment que j'améliore mes armes aussi. Hein. Ouais mais c'est un mage. Enfin un mage gros, un sorcier quoi. Mais gros, calme-toi, wesh! Ah! Qu'est-ce qu'il me fait, gros? Ah merde! Merde, j'ai toujours mon truc, quel con. Mais wesh! Mais recharge, putain de ta mère, gros! 10 000 ans pour recharger! Ah mais ça me fait chier, gros! Ah, pourquoi l'arme à deux mains à chaque fois? Je m'en fous de l'arme à deux mains. Sincèrement, je la veux pas. Mais ça se met automatiquement en fait, ok. Vas-y, casse-toi, gros. Et il m'a fait mal ce connard. Hein. Tiens, et toi tu t'es évadé de l'hôpital, toi.
Are you all right, Miss Hapcroft?
They were tracking me, hunting me down. After the death of Thomas, they came to the hospital. They said I killed him.
But you're safe now. Those men won't bother you anymore, I promise.
Did you hear them? They recognized me as a vampire. I knew it. I knew it.
No. Those hunters would have made a huge mistake if they had killed you.
I'm not crazy. I knew there was something wrong with me. I need to tell the doctors about this.
Putain, tu fais chier, toi. Comme un con, j'ai oublié de craft mes trucs, moi. La meuf, elle se croit vraiment pour un vampire, mais t'es pas un vampire. C'est juste ces gens, ils sont un peu cons, quoi. Je vais voir si je peux là. Si je peux pas, tant pis. Laisse tomber. Laisse tomber, laisse tomber. Oh, j'ai pas vu ça. Vous voyez la flip qu'il a eu, il a reculé pour me défoncer la gueule là. Ok, mais il n'y a plus rien en fait. Si, c'était juste pour fouiller, d'accord. Super. Et comment je vais là-bas en fait? Je suis obligé de faire le tour comme j'avais fait. Ah, mais là les niveaux ils sont vraiment hard hein, je trouve. Ça rigole plus. Quoi? Je suis un peu de la merde. Mais wesh besoin de nourriture. Sors d'où lui? Ah mais il est chaud lui. Pardon? Là il meurt.
Whitechapel. This neighborhood is linked somehow to the kind Lady Ashbury's blackmail. First, let's find this Petrescu fellow.
J'attends un bébé qui pleure, gros, ça devient hard. Oh! D'où Jésus?
Me, I'll not die in some stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
Hein? Il est pas
Are
mort?
you all right?
The bastard hit the wall next to me. I don't even know if he meant to miss.
If you've been hurt, I can help you. I'm a doctor.
Name's Albert. Remember it. Now bugger off.
Someday you'll understand. You've wasted your life away.
No. Not now. Not me, please. I'll be good.
Its effectiveness has been proven by them.
Oh, je suis un bâtard.
Shooting a boy in the middle of the street. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What? You saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reid, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
Je vais te soigner à ma façon, moi, petit. J'adore la musique. Elle devient de plus en plus proche quand je m'approche du lieu de la mort.
I'm not afraid anymore. I died in this trench a long time ago.
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir. Are you interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
Then you have come to the right place. The famous Swanborough cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reid, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reid.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like to talk about competition.
Competition, you say?
Never met her, but it seems she provides some sort of medical care to the poor. The whole thing has to be some sort of scam, if you ask me.
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly exploits poor migrants as soon as they get here.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
Ah ouais, ok, elle vend des trucs comme ça, elle. D'accord.
You look ill, Miss Swanborough. I wonder if your concoction will do the trick.
I'm perfectly fine thanks to my miraculous elixir. You, on the other hand, look pale and tired, Doctor.
Non mais moi c'est normal que j'ai l'air pâle.
Goodbye, Miss Swanborough.
C'est que je suis un vampire. Inconnu. Le gars veut y aller toujours voir des gens et les buter.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to.
A strange man was at the door
Oh
with the
putain, elle est
pass
là,
to the
elle.
medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be for Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nithercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me just downwind.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
En tout cas, j'ai appris sur toi, mon pote. Je vais voir juste un truc si je peux prendre un truc. Je peux pas rentrer, c'est sûr.
Come on, Barrett, you know the game. You pay for peace of mind.
Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I am Dr. Reid. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
Have you heard of a nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
Yes. Those bloody immigrants should know their place, eh? How dare they do a better job than the lazy natives of this land?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Ouh, j'en ai appris sur elle. Merci.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic,
Vous avez vu,
war,
tout plein de gens, on
and all
pourrait
the
passer
usual crap?
à côté de ces dialogues-là pour apprendre plus sur les PNJ, tout ça, pour pouvoir les tuer ou les aider. Faut toujours parler à tout le monde, les gars, dans ce jeu-là.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Right then. Show me.
Ok. En tout cas, il m'a donné une quête. D'accord. Ok, l'autre il s'est barré.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reid, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine, and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
You are a criminal who endorses criminal activity. The least you could do is stop hiding behind this pretense.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Ok, merci.
You never... Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I'd known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
Taking out your anger on others is nothing but cowardice. And Colossi are quite famous for tumbling down.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? And most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against the wet boot boy.
Goodbye.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reid.
Dr. Reid, the famous surgeon.
J'adore le jeu, franchement, il est insane.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
If no one stops it, this epidemic could turn into a scourge. It may kill more people than the war itself.
Yes, this is another kind of war, but just as deadly. History will judge us all for what we did and what we did not.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
Donc la grosse maladie dans le jeu, c'est la grippe espagnole.
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
I'm afraid one of the nurses from the Pembroke Hospital may be involved with unsavory activities.
Ah, could it be Dorothy Crane?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious. Never goes out. Doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He has no relatives at all?
No. Except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Ok. Ben nous les petits loups, vous savez quoi? On va se quitter là sur cet épisode, j'espère que ça vous a plu. Si ça vous a plu, n'hésitez pas à liker, commenter, partager et vous abonner. Et on se retrouve à très bientôt pour la suite de Vampire. Allez, à bientôt les petits loups.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reid, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in our country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
I am. But the answers I seek are based on facts, not superstition. Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I sent him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Don't you fear getting sick yourself?
I've been touched by God's grace. I am perfectly healthy.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.